Hello, welcome back. Tuesday Night Lights. We got quite the matchup tonight. We got Tonka at Wayzata. We got former coaches, former players. Eric Johnson's going to be my co-pilot. How many state championships did you win at Minnetonka?
3.
Yeah, bragger. Were those in a row or were they spaced out? How did you try to keep it kind of humble? Did you space it out or just run 3 in a row?
Just 3 in a row. That was it.
So you're Pat Mahomes of girls hockey, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Andy Reid. You'd be more of an Andy Reid. And then we have Julie Friends coming in as well, also a state champion, a netminder, correct?
Correct.
So what do we need to know about Julie, Eric? Just give us a brief introduction on the legend here.
She was unbeaten her senior year, and the first team that Minnetonka won state. Julie was the backstopper and the Miss Goalie of the Year award winner.
Never lost a game?
Not senior year.
We didn't put her in against Shattuck.
Here we go.
She never forgave us, but we wanted to save the record in the stats.
Who did you put in?
Sydney Rossman. She ended up being the 26 shutouts at Quinnipiac and was in the Hall of Fame on her own right.
And
Yes,
she had all 3 state championships.
She was a part of all 3 state championships, and she did win the next 2 as a starter.
Well, awesome. Well, let's look at the matchup here. We can break it down a little bit. We're going to kind of look at the teams overall. Tonka's on a heater. They've only lost they had kind of a hiccup against Centennial. They did lose to their nemesis, Edina, as well. It looks like led by Ruby Rauch, which is an insane name. Lauren Mack. They got a bunch of studs. They got a good goaltender. Maybe the last of the Hemps, or the Hemps are working their way through the system. But what do you know about Tonka, both of you? What should we expect from this team?
Well, I could say what stands out to me is Ruby works so hard that she forechecks, back checks. She plays 200 feet, and her effort, I think, as a senior, really is leading this group. And so I think you just look for energy from her. And there's a lot of skill, and there isn't any goaltending any better in the state with Hemp and Hazlett. So that's what I see.
How do I pronounce that? Ruby Rauch? Ruby Rock?
Ruby Rauch. She does rock, but it's Ruby Rauch.
That's a hell of a name. And then on the Wayzata side, they're about 500, 10 and 11. Looks like they get a lot of scoring from Julia Ostepik, 30 points. Noel Noble, another great name, 21 points. Looks like the Erickson girl starts most of the games in net, number 35. Can we pop on the leaders quick? So any other names jump out here that we didn't talk about? Bella Finnegan seems like that could be fun. What do we know about some of these other ones? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think Claire Sommerfeld is one of the best freshmen, if not the best freshman in the state right now. I mean, she's lighting it up for Tonka as a freshman. I mean, she had 4 goals against Wayzata in their earlier matchup about 10 days ago when they beat them 9-0 at Pagel. So, I mean, she's one to definitely keep your eye on. But, yeah, Bella Finnegan kind of leads the troops on the back end, senior captain going to Harvard next year.
Awesome. Let's switch to the stream in case we're missing the action. It should be maybe anthem time. And that looks like Dallas. So we're going to need to go to Minnetonka, Wayzata, actually.
I will say that for Wayzata, the Noelle Noble is a right-handed forward that's just a fire plug. She works really hard, really smart hockey player, and she has a good nose for the net. She is just a sophomore. Ava Moldy is a really good player too, and she's a freshman. So Wayzata has some younger players, and they also have 13 seniors, so they have a mix.
That's great. This might be the anthem. I'm going to take the hat off here. And we're good. We're going. So they beat them 9-0, and so they're going to have this one circled on the. I mean, this could be a little as feisty as we can get in the western suburbs, huh?
Yeah, I think I was watching the first game at Minnetonka. I think that this game, Minnetonka did get an early lead, and I think the game might have got away from Wayzata early. I expect this one to be a tighter checking game. I think Wayzata will probably get some pucks deep and try to clog the middle and run short shifts and roll them as well as they can. Minnetonka is hard to stop, so Wayzata will probably keep them off of the power play with how much talent is out there. But we'll see how much fire is going to be in Wayzata's belly here at home.
Hey, Julie, when you played, there's been these different eras of girls hockey, right? We had kind of the first era. There was like one superstar on every team that might score 6 goals, and then the skill level has just continued to increase. Is it shocking for you to even, you're not that far removed from your success, but watching what these girls can do now, or are you just kind of blown away with the skill level of the game overall?
Yeah, I think there's definitely more parity, but I think the other thing too is just kind of you see there's a lot of teams that have kind of changed success. Like I remember like when I was in high school, like Wayzata was a better team than us, like my early years at Minnetonka. And so you just kind of like see kind of the ebbs and flows of some of these teams and like Holy Family, who's a top 10 team in AA this year. I don't even think they had a team. Or if they did, they were just kind of, up and coming when I was growing up. So I think just the parity in that sense is there's so many more teams that are on a competitive level. And I think EJ had mentioned it a while ago that, so many more girls now, even 10 years later, are skating earlier and they're training earlier than they ever have been before. So I think the talent level continues to improve, and, that's what we're kind of looking for now.
So the freshman, did she grow up in Tonka and she's just kind of a prodigy, or what's the story on the freshman that had 4 against Wayzata last time from Tonka?
That I don't know.
I think I've got to go get my cheaters on. Is that okay? Is that permitted?
I love it. This is what it's all about.
All right.
This is how many pairs of cheaters do you think he has, Julie? Is it like
5?
Way more than it used to be.
30. What do you think will happen here? We like to do picks, right? So this feels like a trap game for Tonka, right? They just beat them 9-0. We could do whatever we wanted. I think this will be closer. I'm going to go like 4-2 Tonka. What do you guys think?
I was going to say 5-2. No, 5-1. I don't know. It's hard. And I might be dumb, but how do you make this bigger? Maybe I'm with you, EJ. I need cheaters. Oh, there we go. Now we're done.
I didn't even dare try to make it bigger because I think I'll sign off.
Yeah, I know it's touchy. Usually we have Pete Waggoner co-hosting, and he's always barking to London, the people that run the app, and making moves. But we're just gonna. You ever get a ghosty when you were on a bike, right? And you try to ride the bike down the hill by itself. That's basically what we're doing on Tuesday Night Lights. Tonight.
Julie, how did you make it bigger?
On the bottom, like next to the end call, like there's it's like a full screen thing.
Yes. Okay.
You got that?
You guys, that's like teammates.
Thank you. Oh, game changer. Game changer.
I think the longer that, I think it kind of depends on like Erickson and Net, because like she's had some really good games this year. I think they lost to Edina maybe 3-1, 3-0 earlier. She had 31 saves. So I think to keep Tonka off the power play, because their power play is so dangerous, and just kind of letting Erickson see the puck and keep things at perimeter will bode well in Wayzata's favor for the longer this game goes on.
So Julie, how did you went undefeated? Where did you go college, and after that, and what are you doing now? Are you giving back to the game? What are you coaching, and what are you doing?
I got the opportunity to play college hockey at St. Cloud. Was there for 4 years, and then went and played overseas in Austria for a year, and then came back here and played for the Minnesota Whitecaps for about 3. And then now I'm currently an assistant AD at Minnetonka.
So all these.
She's the boss man. She's the boss of me now.
No.
Julie's the boss man.
So I see a lot of like Minnetonka, just going to games and things like that, and obviously following them over the years, and still try to stay involved with the youth program. A girl, Katie McMillan, who played at Minnetonka and played at Penn State, is now the head coach of the U12A team. So I try to get out for a few of their practices to try to give back. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
How much? Go ahead.
What'd you say?
Well, yeah, Katie's been for a couple of years now. She's U12A, and she was U10A for a few years before that. So she played at Penn State and was a defenseman for most of her career, but part-time forward as well, and could play at the top of the power play or in front of the net. She was just really a gifted offensive defenseman. But yeah, she's been in the program now for a long time. Merritt Zielinski's been coaching in the program for 12 years. She was a 2010 grad. And so we're really fortunate to have some Minnetonka alumni back in the program coaching. Natalie Spicer, 2006 grad, spent a number of years coaching, and she's assistant AD at Edina now, but she had coached Minnetonka youth hockey for a number of years. So that consistency has really helped the program. The women coming back and being good role models and great coaches.
Yeah, that's awesome. What does Tonka do on the power play? Why is it so nasty? Is it just they got 5 studs out there, or do they kind of work? Do they work it a certain way?
I think it's just quick puck movement. I think their first power play is all D1 girls, and then the second one is half D1 and girls that probably will play at the college level at some point. But you can just see even like right now, like 5-on-5, they're just kind of hemming Wayzata in their own zone, and you can just, you can get puck watching almost at a certain point just with how much skill is on the ice.
Yeah, and I would say that, a couple years ago, I coached against Tracy and Mike. I coached against Tracy back when I was at Minnetonka with the girls, but for PWAs for boys, I coached against them or against Mike when they were coaching his son, and they're tough. They have a really good power play and some really smart puck movement schemes. Tracy's just won 300 games. She just won her 300th game against Blaine on last Saturday. The article that was in the Girls Hockey Hub at the beginning of the year had her at 284, and she's won 16 since that one because that was 3 wins in. And she has 515 games under her belt. And so I think when you talk about it, power play, the experience that she has as a coach combined with the talent makes for a tough to play against.
And who does Tonka have to go through in sections? What's their kind of stumble point, if any, getting to state?
Well, we got a goal. I was going to call Senya Leeper too. I really like the way Senya Leeper plays. She's going to Bemidji State next year, just kind of a grinder. Sorry, John, what was your question again? Oh, I would say Holy Family. EJ, how many times has it been Holy Family in a row now in the section final?
Section 2AA it's been Holy Family every year the last few, and Eden Prairie, Holy Family. There is Chaska Chanhassen, Jefferson, all those schools.
But Holy Family is the real rival, huh? Right now.
Yes, they're the real rival, and that's been a close game the last few years. It was overtime 2 years ago.
Oh, she went all the way to the net too.
Yeah, that's Leeper again. Yeah, and Minnetonka only beat Eden Prairie 4-3 earlier this year. So, don't sleep on Eden Prairie too.
We had a lot of trouble with Eden Prairie, I remember. They were tough.
Mm-hmm.
Julie, how did you figure out your backdrop? What was the conversation like? Like, I want something kind of like it's feminine, but it's also like kind of tough. Like I want like a headboard situation.
Well, John, when you don't live in a house and you live in a condo and your husband's watching TV in the living room and we don't really have another area, that's kind of what this ends up looking like. And it's comfy, so.
No, I think it looks very nice. I thought you were at Restoration Hardware eating dinner.
Oh, that would be a great place to watch this game. Yeah.
I was looking for the champagne glass. Yeah. Great spot. Well, hey, this Tuesday Night Lights for people, this is sponsored by Hockey Yak. I don't know, Julie, if you've ever gotten into some of their products, but they do everything from coaches' jackets to these really cool hockey bags where you can kind of Velcro your association logo. And then if you're playing on a different team in the summer, you can swap it out. They got the breakaway vest, jerseys, hats, merch. So it's been really cool for them to kind of take a swing at this. And then we're sponsored by Cub Foods, who's all over local sports, from PJ Flex headset to the Homer Hanky at the Twins games and Wild on 7th with us with the Wild. So special thanks to both Cub and Hockey Act for giving high school hockey some love, and certainly girls hockey. That's 2 goals. We could have a problem here with my prediction. That's too easy, isn't it? I mean, that's too easy. Just fired it.
That was a lefty, and I'm not sure if that was Sommerfeld.
Sommerfeld again, yeah.
This is the diaper dandy, the freshman phenom.
Yep.
Hey, how are the parents, Julie, when you're an AD? Do you just have if somebody's not on the power play, do you just have 3 people sitting outside your office? Is it as crazy as I think it is?
Well, you have to ask our head AD, Ted Schultz, because he handles a lot of the parent issues. But, when I go watch hockey games or just in general, I kind of keep my distance. I kind of know the spots of where to stand so people don't necessarily come by me. But, yeah, I mean, overall, parents just want what's best for their kid, and coaches do a good job of, kind of setting that standard at the beginning of the year of, if there's a playing time issue or there's any issue, we want you to come to the coach first. And then obviously if it gets bigger than that, then you can go to higher levels. But yeah, the coaches do a pretty good job at Minnetonka of kind of setting that standard early.
Hey, but you're still on the radar, Julie. As soon as they realize who you are, they're gonna come find you.
No, because they probably still think I'm a high school kid or something. That's why they don't come up to me.
You can't hide for long.
Hey, you must have played with Winnie when you were on the Whitecaps, maybe, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
We'll see if we can get her to hop on here. Maybe we'll get a foursome watching this thing together. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you think Winnie's tech skills are? Do you think she's going to be able to figure this out?
Awful.
Yeah, there's no chance, right?
Yeah. I mean, you'd be better off calling her. I text Winnie once in a while, and she won't text me for weeks on end back. I'm like, oh, I forgot the conversation we just had.
I just sent her the ghost emoji because she's just a mystery.
Mm-hmm. Hey, but she's busy, constantly doing something.
Oh, she's the queen for sure, with the youth and everybody coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he started the girls' high school elite league back in, I believe, about 2008, and that created a lot of opportunities for the girls to play. Some of the top girls in the state of Minnesota to play in a league that high school coaches are involved in, and the state high school league sponsors in the fall before the regular season, just adding another level of competition and games for those kids. And so I actually helped Winnie with that a little bit, and it was a great experience. But she's done so much for the game; it's incredible. Another one for Tom.
This could be tough sledding for the Trojans. Are the Trojans young, or are they just down, or what? Because I remember when my daughter was playing, Sophia Shaver. She was a monster for Wayzata, and they were always a great team. Is it just maybe a younger group, or?
From what I know, I talked to Brad Podiak on the phone today, the head coach, and he said that they've been plagued by a couple of injuries this year, and they're in a little bit of a rebuild mode. They do have quite a few seniors, but some of their, as we saw in the stats, some of their higher scorers are younger players. Their youth system has 4 U10 teams, 4 12U teams, 3 15U teams. I believe there's over 80 girls between that. I believe they have about 60 at the U6 level and also another 60 at the U8 level. So for every 2 grades, they have 60 players from that kindergarten all the way through 7th grade. So I think the future looks really bright for Wayzata. They must be doing some great things with their youth system, because those are huge numbers for girls.
Yeah, build the base and the rest will follow, right?
For sure.
This is Hemp and Net, I assume, right? Or would they have started somebody else?
That's Hazlet.
Okay. So they're like 9-0. Let's try some stuff.
Yeah, I mean they've gone pretty much. I mean, beginning of the year, Hemp was playing a lot in a row, but as of late, they pretty go like back and forth between the two of them. I mean, not many teams, if any, in the state of Minnesota have two senior Division I goalies on their team. So I mean, Tracy's obviously confident in both of them, and it's been fun watching them develop their last 3-4 years in high school.
Hazlet is committed to Bemidji and Hemp to Minnesota.
Yep.
When do girls commit? Like, so this freshman that's starting off, so there's another one. Jesus.
That's her again.
My goodness.
That's
So
clear.
when would she commit? Like, if you're a superstar freshman, are you waiting, or like how does the game get played nowadays?
They changed the rule. EJ, do you know? Is it after? Because you can contact them now. It used to be like, I don't know, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, something like that. And now it's way later. I don't know what it is now, but it's way later.
The commitment is usually somewhere right in the beginning of the junior year. So the contact is in the summer between the sophomore and junior year, and so that's typically when the commitments are being made by the middle of junior season. And in some cases, seniors will commit, but it has moved back just for the betterment of players and their families and recruiters. And the NCAA moved that first contact back to I think it's the end of the school year of your sophomore year, or somewhere in the summer going into your junior year.
EJ, when you were a coach, how often do you have a kid come in, a girl? So this 9th grader is on fire. Does it typically kind of stair step up and they just keep getting better, or do you occasionally just have like a Haley's Comet where they're really good when they're super young and they stay the same or plateau or even go down? Like what, because the success she's having as a freshman, I just wonder what's the norm? Do they just get bigger and stronger and better, or are there a few instances where they kind of stay the same?
Well, it's a good question. When Rachel Ramsey was a freshman, she scored 40 points, and when she was a sophomore, 45 points, and she was always right around that mid 40s to 50 points a year. Granted, she did that from defense her last 3 years of high school. The level of play maybe got a little better every year, so she was doing it against better players. That was 2000, and she finished in 2011. Presley Norby came in as a freshman, and she was really good as a freshman. And but as a junior and senior, she was dominant. So she kept getting better. She ended up going to play at Wisconsin. So we've had. I remember having some girls contribute and be good players as freshmen, but usually they got better. So I would say in the case of Sommerfeld here, I think we're just going to see a lot more of this in the future.
Yeah, Norby she was on North Wright County when she was younger, and we played a bunch of games against her and White Bear with our teams. And I've never seen somebody so fast. Like when you're on the bench as a coach, I felt like I was at Canterbury Downs when she was just so quick. She was that speed, that kills.
Dave Nelson, our longtime legendary football coach at Minnetonka, had Presley in the fall semester of her freshman year, and he came up to me and said, she just beat all the girls and boys in dodgeball, and you've got an amazing athlete, and she is the most competitive kid I've ever seen. And we saw that for 4 years. It was great.
That was a golden age. There were so many girls' summer teams that era, when you would have been coaching and playing, right? You had Norby was on Reebok. There were the Ice Cats, the Ice Cougars, the Blades. It was amazing. It was like a full league of girls that most of which played college hockey in some capacity. OS, Skate to Excellence. I mean, honestly, there were like 10 teams in the summer. It's crazy. I don't know exactly how it splits out now. I think the Elite League has changed that, right? You can pick up more games around your high school schedule.
Yeah, Minnesota hockey has done some restrictions about fall play, I believe, for some of those teams. So I think most of those teams are spring, summer. And the Elite League has changed some of that and brought a lot of those players together in one place in the fall. But I do remember what you're talking about, because Presley would have played through 2016. And so, when she was coming through and when she was younger, there was a lot of AAA teams that were just dynamite. And
yeah, just in the summer, obviously. But
yes.
It was pretty cool.
Well, Wayzata's going to try to hang on with just the 4 goals here. And it looks like we've got the former coach, Becky Wacker, on board here coming in.
Yeah, let's bring her in. Becky, welcome to Tuesday Night Lights. This is where we watch hockey with interesting people, and tonight maybe watch Minnetonka score lots of goals, it would seem. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I don't know if I count as interesting people, but I'm happy to be here.
Are you standing? This is like a stand-up desk situation. I like this. This is
It is. I've sat too long today.
That's great. You're just like drinking a protein drink in front of a dresser, standing. This is super intense. I like it.
That's
John,
right. I got some bicep curls coming.
John, what do you have about people's backdrops?
Well, because no one's even asked me about mine. I got Kirill Kaprizov made out of license plates, Morgan Wallen. Thanks for you should bring people into the conversation, Julie. I mean, does this look normal to you back here?
Well, he's going to be out for a while now, so.
No, surgery.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, I appreciate that you put effort into it, John.
Yeah.
There's a breakaway for the Trojans. Breakaway.
They tried.
Oh, what a shot!
Short side shelf.
Not done yet.
I wouldn't call that a breakaway, but
I'd call it pretty good if you're from Wayzata.
Hey, I said 5-1.
Was that Julia?
Was that the first period?
28?
What'd you say, EJ?
Was that 28, Julia?
I didn't see the number.
Junior?
We're giving it to Julia.
I thought it was 28.
With that shot, it had to be her.
That was a Julia shot. That was short side shelf. What a shot.
So, Becky, tell us what you're doing now. Give us a little bit of your hockey bio and kind of what present day looks like as well.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in New England, played a lot of my there's another goal. 5-1, there you go.
That was Allie Ryan, senior for Tonka.
I'm so distracted by goals, I can't remember what I was talking about. Grew up in New England, suburb of Boston, small town in Maine, depending on who I'm talking to. If you're an outdoors person, I'll tell you Maine. Most hockey people understand Boston a little bit better. And then got a scholarship to come out to Minnesota. And when I walked in and I said, wait a minute, you've got 2 rinks. That's pretty sweet. So I was pretty much sold right away there. So came out to Minnesota, had I'll say it, a nice career. A couple national championships and got an engineering degree. And then came out and moved into sales. And I was lucky enough, I think, that I was the Wayzata head coach when I think I was 25 is when I got the job. So I had a lot of fun coaching against EJ there, building a good relationship. Julie, I think you were playing maybe when I was coaching, but I don't remember for sure.
What years did you coach?
Great question. 2010 to 16.
Okay, yeah, I was there. I graduated in 11.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. So I had a lot of fun coaching, but got a promotion to my first management role and required a lot of travel. So unfortunately, I had to make a decision between my highly lucrative head coaching career and my my management career. So I made the choice to go with management. So, I've had a few different roles, and today I lead sales for a large company.
Trojans, backhand goals. Sorry, Becky. Trojans are back on the board.
By the
You see
way,
it?
so Becky, you're
Hey,
Wayzata. They've scored 2 since you've been here. That's you're really helping us out here.
I know. EJ, you're going to have a Wayzata shirt on before we're done here, bud.
Becky made me wear a Wayzata sweatshirt in a late conference meeting with all the coaches because I lost.
I love that. So you would do like the mayors do, where you're trading a thing of maple syrup for a Summit beer or whatever. You would do that. You would trade like, so if you got beat, you'd have to wear Wayzata.
She won a bet, and I had to wear the Wayzata sweatshirt at a meeting.
What was the bet?
You know what? We can't probably talk about it.
Okay, offline.
Yeah, offline.
We weren't betting on any
games.
games. There was no sports betting. It wasn't on games. It was we were evaluating some players at a tryout somewhere, and there was an argument about something, and I lost. And she said, "You got to wear the Wayzata sweatshirt if I win the bet."
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Hey,
Then you got on.
Oh, speaking of hockey royalty, she made it.
Hey, how's it going?
I gotta figure out now, producers, how do we do this? We can only do 4, or can we do 5? We'll see what he says, because we might have to 4. All right, Julie, I'm gonna have to say farewell. You got 7 goals. You have nothing to complain about, and we're gonna bring Winnie in here. And Ella, let's go to just a 4 shot with the crew here. We'll bring Winnie in to the room. You can lose the stream while they're doing the ice. That's fine. Oh my God, look at how good Ella is producing. Look at that, Winnie. They were saying that you could never figure out the technology.
I know I can't, and Becky will confirm that. I am just a hockey coach. I'm not a tech coach, that's for sure. I usually need to be coached.
Well, you did it. We're staring at 5-2. That's 1 period of hockey, by the way. So Minnetonka with 5 goals, a lot by this freshman superstar. And then, but Wayzata, they lost 9-0 last time. They got a pair already. What do you know about these squads?
Yeah, so I mean, when you have 2 big youth hockey organizations like that, you got a lot of talent on both teams, and it looks like Minnetonka is number 1 in the state right now. So it's always tough to play a team like that when you come into these games.
Yeah, are you familiar with this super freshman in Minnetonka? This what's her name, EJ?
Claire Sommerfeld.
Oh, Sommerfeld, yeah, that whole line, Delaney Miller and Lainey Lindsay, they've been the young squad pulling through for that team. I know following the team this year, it looks like that line's pulled off 2 big goals against 2 big teams. I believe one was Andover earlier on in the season, and I think they did it again against, I believe, Edina. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone, but I think that was a close game, 1-0, and both games were really tight. So yeah, that line's scooting for Tonka.
So how do you and Becky, how do you guys know each other? What's your overlap? You got any good stories?
Yeah, we're both Gophers. I don't know if you know that, right?
Yep.
So we go back. I even now coach her little girls, so it's kind of fun, the history. And she also played with my little sister Chelsea back in the day, so we go way back.
I was going to ask you, Becky, so you grew up out east, and community hockey is so unique in Minnesota, right? I mean, you were kind of joking that when you went to Minnesota, they're like, oh, there's 2 rinks, I'm in. But I mean, you can play with your friends the whole way up, play with your community, kids down the block. It's pretty, I mean, it doesn't exist. It used to exist in Massachusetts. It doesn't anymore. Has that just been awesome for you to be like, wow, this is a different deal for my kids than I used to be on a train in Maine trying to find a rink or whatever.
Yeah. It's I remember when I was coaching high school, and also did some coaching with Winnie, and just the opportunities here in Minnesota. I mean, I was hanging out with my girls, and we were looking. There's I think 5 outdoor rinks, like boards, lights, you name it, within, a mile or two of the house. And so, we go out and skate and play and have all those fun connections of not only, us as a family, but also, oh, hey, yeah, Chelsea played with that kid over there, or Cassie, played with this kid. And so it's really neat that you build those connections, those friendships. I think the hockey community in Minnesota is very, very special. I grew up in Maine, where I played on my boys' high school team all the way through my 4 years. There wasn't a girls' team to play for. I had to drive an hour and 20 minutes down to Boston to find girls' hockey. And so, I had kind of a unique upbringing within the sport of hockey, where I played on an elite program, Aspet Valley, in the Boston area. But when I got to the Gophers, that was really the first time that I had, a group of girls, women that I was playing with every single day, that was my community team. And so that was a really, really cool change for me from, I love playing with the guys. I have some really good friends and relationships still from those folks, but it's different in Minnesota. It's definitely a different kind of vibe in the community. And the number of people that I talk to, in my personal life, business, whatever, that are like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, oh yeah, I coach my kids in hockey. And it's like, wow, okay, this whole world opens up of this new conversation that people can connect with. And so it's just, it's a very, very cool thing about Minnesota, that whether you know how to skate or don't know how to skate, I think some people actually introduce themselves like, hi, I'm so-and-so, I know how to skate, or I don't know how to skate. It's kind of a funny deal, but I love that about Minnesota, and that it's, something that I'm very connected to, that, we build great relationships. EJ texted me today. I still had his number in my phone, and I was so excited to talk to him. And, Winnie and I get to hang out here and there. You just build really, really deep relationships around the sport of hockey, and it's a lot of great people.
Hey, when you were playing in Maine, so with the guys, and did you have a mullet? Were you just rolling in like a Firebird car like Winnie used to drive, or what? I mean, because you had to be a pretty
Camaro. It was
Camaro,
a Camaro.
sorry, a Camaro. But you had to be a real badass to do that and make your way all to D1 at a top program like the U. What was that like, playing with the guys?
Yeah, so I was a hick in Maine, so I had an F-150 that I drove. For the record, it wasn't cool like Winnie. And it's a couple of funny stories pop in my head as you said that. I had one player I was playing up against, was trying to chirp me. It was like, you've got a mullet. And I'm like, dude, I'm a girl. And he was just like, what? Like, figure it out, dude. Like, I had a ponytail. Like, how is that a mullet?
Both have long hair. Come on.
Yeah. So, I would say the folks in Maine maybe aren't the best at tell great stories, terrible at chirping other people. And then one of the years, I think it was my junior year, but I'm not totally sure. You talk about being a badass. We're on the bus and the coaches are doing the roster thing, and they yelled at the back of the bus, hey, Whacker, how tall are you? And I said 5'6", because I figured the skates counted. I'm actually 5'4". And so he writes down 5'6", and then yells back, how much do you weigh? And, one of the smart asses on the team yells up, 205, in like the girliest voice he could come up with. And I just didn't say anything because I thought coach was going to say no, what really? But coach wrote down 205. So for an entire year, I was listed as 5'6", 205, which, I think I weighed 115 pounds soaking wet at that point. But yeah, right. So that was my my high school career. But, it was interesting. I mean, Maine hockey is different than Minnesota hockey, of course. I was a 4-year starter on the varsity team. I played basically everything but goalie. But it was a cool experience to get to spend. I would go somewhere else to change into shorts and all that stuff, but I'd get dressed in the locker room with everybody. And there's some aspect now. I work in a very male dominated field that I not that men are different than women that uniquely, but it doesn't intimidate me to be in a room full of all men and be like, yeah, this is what we talk about. We talk about sports. We're gonna say some stupid jokes, and it's been something that has I think really helped my career.
And they're like, you have a mullet, and you're like, I'm a girl.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I tell them all the time.
Hey, I was going to ask you, Winnie, how is your world
How do I
changed?
follow that up? How do I follow that up?
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. No, that's just great
That
stuff. But
was unreal.
how has your world changed? So you're kind of the mayor of girls hockey, and OS does so much for so many kids. How has everything changed now that I know the Whitecaps broke the barrier, and you really were doing kind of the pro hockey for a very long time, but now with the P-Dub and girls that can, continue on after college and, make money doing this. And has it been pretty abrupt how different it is? How people look at their career?
Yeah, I think for me, it's pretty awesome that now something can just sustain itself. Because for a lot of years, my dad and I and Jenny Potter and the people before us put a lot of time in. And so what's different for me is I actually kind of have a life now. And now my life is kind of pivoted to my two boys. So I'm at the rink, not for myself and to push, the game forward, but to continue to push the game where now my boys love going to girls, high school games, college games, women's professional games, and they don't know any different now. And so I think that's pretty special for me to just kind of sit back, look back at, what all these, women like Becky and Julie Friend and all these people have done to get women's hockey to this point. And now we can just kind of sit and watch and see these girls that are playing out here tonight have the opportunity, or at least the goal, or to see that, hey, we don't have to stop playing hockey when we're 20 years old, 21 years old. We have a talent that we've been doing since, these kids have probably been 2-3 years old, which was very abnormal back in the day, where I started skating when I was 18 months, just because that's what our family did. And I had older siblings that were, 12 years older. So third kid, it's like, you're just going on the ice, man, because you're going to be at the outdoor rink for 3 hours. So you might as well put skates and a big snowsuit on you. But now it's kind of become where these girls are starting just like the boys, and they're putting just as much time into it as the boys. And now you go to rinks and you're like, gosh, you got to figure out if it's a boys game or a girls game. And it's for me. So I guess it's pretty cool that I can just kind of sit back and watch how the game has grown, and now enjoy it with my family.
Yeah, it's amazing. I remember so many dads that would take the out hockey dads, when our daughter was growing up, and it would be like, well, she's not going to play in the NHL. They would say stuff like that if that was about driving to a stick handling thing at 6 a.m. or this or that, or another tournament. But now I think that whole model has changed. It's like, well, maybe she will. And I think that's been really great, especially for the young girls that get to start in that world. Like you said, they don't know any different.
No.
And
they've had, girls youth hockey, and they've had girls high school hockey, they've had college hockey, and now this generation is going to be the first generation that they can play professional hockey. And I think it's just going to drive the girls' game even to a higher level, because now you're going to have all these college programs. Back in the day, you could only kind of aspire to play on Team USA, right, which is a roster of maybe 20 to 23 players. And it kind of didn't move very much. And now you're seeing more teams, and with expansion, now all these college programs might have a player or two or 3 or 4 that have aspirations to play at a higher level. And I think that's what you need to advance the game, where you have these people pushing every day at practice. Because before it was just, a handful of teams maybe that had these high-end players that had aspirations of playing after college. And so now when you see these teams, even if it's 1 or 2 kids, it just kind of translates. And now you have a person pushing on that team, and then everyone else kind of just follows.
Yeah, no, it's great. What question for both of you, and actually all three of you? Who's the most high-skilled female hockey player you've seen in your life? Whether it's a goalie or a skater, like that's my Connor McDavid as far as girls. Who would it be that in your experience?
There's been a lot of them just because they're all different. Aspect from forward to defense. That I've seen. Well, Chrissy and Natalie just come to mind. Just they're probably, I think, two of the best female hockey players to have played and maybe to ever play. And I know that the game is advancing, but I think those two were just kind of, I would call them unicorns. And it was just ironic that they were at the same time and same time frame, and it was kind of a generation of people that you had to prove yourself, kind of like Becky was talking about earlier. Like, you just couldn't just show up and play. You had to prove that you belong there. And I think, I personally, I don't know what they think, but I think the game is really a lot more skilled right now, but I think the physicality isn't as physical as it used to be. And I would say that even in the last 5 or 6 years, the game has gotten faster, more skilled. But I think back in the day when Chrissy and Natalie were playing, it was more body, and it was people were setting picks and they weren't called. There was bodies just kind of flying all over the place, and there was probably more hooking and clutching and grabbing. I mean, you could just put your stick on someone and just kind of catapult yourself right up to them. I mean, you just could do things to try to stop people a lot more than the game has. And I think that's even on the men's side too, or the boys' side too. I don't know, my kids are only squirts right now, but I could see that the game has kind of changed in that aspect. So that's.
How about you, Becky, Eric? Who are your unicorns that you laid eyes on at some point?
I was really hoping that Winnie said somebody other than Chrissy or Natalie, because that's where I was going to go with it too. I played my 4 years with the Gophers, and then I started high school coaching, like I said, when I was 25 years old. And then, I've been involved in some different evaluations and Winnie's OS program and so on. And, I think I agree with Winnie in a lot. Well, I don't think I do agree with Winnie in a lot of what she's saying, where I think, as I've seen the evolution of the game, we've seen a lot of, I would say compression of the talent, right? Like the difference from a fourth liner to a first liner in the college ranks. And, as we're looking at some of the elite programs, there's not as big a gap as there used to be. And so, there's a ton of really talented players, but man, you just I even have a hard time picking between Chrissy and Dar. I mean, they were both really, really good for different reasons. I was fortunate enough to play in a line with Chrissy, and my freshman year, and she, not to take anything away from Natalie, I didn't play with her, but playing with Chrissy, I mean, I told everybody, I just put my stick on the ice. We were both smart hockey players. She was certainly much more talented than I was, but I was like, man, just give her the puck. I'm just getting around my stick on the ice, and she's going to bounce it off, and it's going in the net. That's that was just the kind of player she was. She made not only herself very, very talented, but anybody playing with her, she elevated up the game, and then just the way that she acted as a leader. I was the kid from Maine. I didn't really know anybody. She invited me to Thanksgiving and wrapped her arm around me to help me feel comfortable here, 1,500 miles away from home, where I had never met anybody on the team before I showed up. So, not only for her hockey skill, but knowing her personally, just the way she led and how she made you feel about being around her and being a part of the team. I think Chrissy was just such a great leader on a team and made a big difference for people and how they interacted with the game.
How about you, EJ?
Well, I can't follow that up. I mean, I think Chrissy and Natalie are obviously They stood out so much for so many of these reasons talked about. But I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of Wayzata Trojans here. One is Danny Cameronese. Grew up in Wayzata, and I never saw a player as tough or as fast and with a motor like that she had. She kept her feet moving. She played extremely fast and she had such a hard shot, and she was dominant. And then Christina Lee Beloy is on the bench for Minnetonka. She was ahead of her time, I think. She played back in finished in maybe 2006 and went to state with right before Becky came, I think, with Larry Olam as the coach. Christina was a forward that was just really, really smart, and was, I think, the all-time leading scorer at Mankato State, where she went on to play. But she's on the bench as an assistant coach at Minnetonka. But those are a couple players that I remember just really standing out when I watched but I got to coach a bunch of players that I just don't know where to start, because girls will probably get mad at me if I start naming names.
Yeah, no, we're getting a look at this Minnetonka power play. This is that group was 5D1 players, and now it sounds like this second group is about half D1. So we'll have to see if Wayzata's hanging around. They're starting the second pretty well. If they can get through this, looks like we're 4-on-4? Yeah, it's 4-on-4 now. But
hey, EJ, remember the time we had a 5-on-3 power play and somebody pulled the fire alarm?
Yes.
Do you remember that game?
Yes.
That's a great
move. Was that on purpose? Did you find out about that?
But I don't know who pulled it. I think we had the advantage, but none of us knew what to do at that point. The fire alarm's going off. We're in the middle of a 5-on-3 power play. The refs are they're like, I'll blow the whistle, and I'm not going to blow the whistle. I'll blow the whistle. And, I think it really screwed up the game for us. But, I'm pretty sure that was another one of those games where Caitlin Klein had a hat trick out of nowhere. But yeah, that was one of my very interesting high school coaching moments of I don't know what to do with this situation.
Yeah, I'd forgot about that one, but that was an alarm it was hard for somebody to turn that one off. That alarm, I remember that.
Yeah.
Where was it at?
Was it
or Wayzata?
At Tonka, so it was freezing cold. It probably just got so cold that it went off. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, because that rink, EJ, that was freezing.
Wait, so did they stop the game?
No, they just kept it going
with the noise. Wow.
Yeah. So players kind of kept playing. I was hoping they'd take advantage of it, but no, I don't think we scored on that 5-on-3.
No, it was. I mean, that was our strategy. Every couple games, we would pull the fire alarm.
So, Winnie, when you're watching a game like this, Tonka's number one. They've only lost a couple times. You got the Roseville blood in you. You got a little East Side. Do you root for the underdog here? Do you kind of want Wayzata, or where are you at on this?
Yeah,
or they're both western suburbs. Maybe you don't care.
They're both right, so it doesn't really matter who wins to me, because it's not an East Side team playing. So the big West suburbs battling each other. Yeah, there's no real preference.
Well, they killed that power play, which is good for Wayzata. I was going to ask, you were talking about physicality back in the day. It sounds like when Chrissy and Darwitz were playing, it's almost like when the NHL had the 75-year patch and Darian Hatcher was slashing people and clutch and grab. What do you think of the physicality?
Watching.
Exactly, and that's the way it was, right?
Yeah.
But it's weird, right? Because high school hockey's gotten more skilled and fast, but the P-Dub seems to
be physical.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a marketing decision from the East Coast or what happened, but it's very clear they want, hitting and I can tell even some of these star players, they don't know, they never did that, right? And so stars are getting hurt, and some fans like it, some don't. What do you make of the P-Dub?
I mean, for me, I was a defender, so I would have liked it. And like Becky, I'm all 5'4", but I always put about 5'5", 5'6", and I always still wear big shoes. So I always say I'm 5'5" no matter what, because I either got skates on or tall shoes. but it's one of those things where I think it's finally evening out for the defense, where these kids can go do all these high skills, toe drags, whatever it is, but you still got to go around me. And now that I have the chance to actually step and, hit or take the body, that's how we all grew up playing in the boys, right? So like I had to just watch the chest. And I remember like I was never looking at a puck as a kid. Because if I was, the boys were going right around me. So I had to just physically stay in front of them and just look at the V of their jersey. And that's kind of what I did my whole early career. And so it's one of those things that now I think the forwards are probably getting frustrated in the PWHL because they're used to just getting away and getting to the boards and not being, hit or, slammed into the boards. And the D can actually finish what we're doing. So I think you're bringing another element to the game that's been missing. And it's one of those things, it'll be interesting to see if it translates down to college and to the lower levels of girls and women's hockey, because I believe that girls need to learn how to be hit, take the hit. And I think you would see less concussions. I think you'd see less injuries if they were doing this at a younger age. Like I said, I wasn't very big. I played defense. I played boys JV for 2 years, which is way more rough than probably a varsity boys team at the time, and more rough than playing A Bantams. And I didn't get hurt in girl or in boys hockey ever, knock on wood. But I played college hockey at the Gophers, and in an 8-0 win, I put my guard down because there's no checking in girls hockey. And I kind of got ran and I broke my back my junior season. So it's one of those things. If I was playing boys, I never let my guard down. I don't care as long as my skates were on that ice, I was aware of being hit, even if I didn't have the puck. And so I think when there's an element of not expecting it, I think that's where we have to teach the kids at an earlier age. Like when you're on the ice, you are prone to being hit at any point. And that means when you're going into the boards, don't turn, just take the hit, take shoulder to shoulder. It's going to be a better result than turn your back. And I think that's a piece that when we were playing with the boys back in the day, it was kind of survival. I say as I got older, it was less survival hockey than it was the first 20 years of my life. And so I think hockey for me personally just got easier. And I make jokes about this. I'm kind of serious. But when we were in college, we'd have girls not dressing up enough to go to our college games. We'd have cargo pants on, steel toe boots, whatever it was going to the games. And I'm like, now the girls are coming in with their so-called, fits and who's, the best style and the cup of coffee and the Louis Vuittons. And I'm like, holy moly, has this changed? I would have probably enjoyed playing in this than going and getting smashed the first 20 years of my life. So
yeah, I'm anxious to see what happens, right? Because it's been a weird transition because a lot of these players, the league just started last year, the P-Dub, and so they never had that hitting, and so it was kind of thrust on them. If the P-Dub is looking for players that can play that style of hockey, then that probably creeps into the college game because they want, it's no different than the NHL, right? If the NHL is looking for a certain type of player, that'll end up being in college, and then it'll go down to high school and youth. And it'll be interesting to see
and you got to look, what is it? The Swedish league is checking, and they've been checking for a few years. And I always say, in the college game, you're seeing, more Europeans, but the problem I'm seeing is the Europeans are coming in. Maybe it's not a lot of them, but when they do come into college women's hockey, they're playing. So like maybe they don't have a high percentage of players, but those percentage of players are coming in and jumping in to the first, 6 forwards, power plays, penalty kills, top 4D. And so that's my concern with where the girls hockey direction is going in the United States. I'm not just talking Minnesota, I'm just talking in general. I think that's a gap we need to change, and I think we need to adjust. And I think the girls would be fine with the hitting and checking and learning to play that game, because if that's what their end goal is, then they need to learn how to compete and play. Because if you look and watch, there's less pinning on the wall. Like if we're watching this game, right? There's no physicality at the sideboards and stuff like that. It's more just fluid
And they're calling everything. I think there's been
Right,
some
and they
there's
call
been
up.
some form of a power play here for like 8 minutes. It's been like 4-on-4, 5-on-4, 5-on-4, 4-on-4. So they're not even hitting, and there's a ton of penalties.
Penalties, yeah.
So yeah, it'll
If
have,
you would have watched our game back in the day, there was probably a penalty every single play, but nothing was called.
Right. Well, and figuring out with the refs, right? If it's like, hey, body contact is allowed, well, okay, what does that mean? Right. And every ref calls it a little bit differently. I remember when I was in college, you try to figure out where that line is. And I was a little bit sneaky being smaller. There's times that I figured out like, hey, I can lay somebody out, but as long as I drop to my knees, I'm not going to get a penalty. And then, other refs, you look at somebody wrong and they call the penalty, and other refs, like, you can just absolutely play full out and hit. And so, bringing the clarity around what body contact and making it consistent from game to game, level to level, I think is really important. The thing I've always wondered in girls hockey, Winnie, is thinking about, well, when do you start it, right? Like, you can't just all of a sudden be like, huzzah, we can hit now, so like, how do you phase it in? Do you start at, the same age as as boys start today, and then you start to just say, okay, as this, birth year progresses, we're going to add checking into the leagues. There's some of those logistics to think through, but I absolutely agree with you. The most dangerous thing is when you're not expecting to be hit. I was literally talking about that today. Like, if I see a hit coming, I can either get out of the way appropriately or brace for the hit, know what's happening. But when you don't see it coming, the refs aren't being consistent, so you get on the ice and you don't know for the first 5 minutes what the game's going to look like. Those are some of those games that really start to escalate, get chippy, people get hurt, is when it's just not clear what you're looking at.
Taka would go up to Grand Rapids for scrimmages every year, and we'd also go to Warroad and Roseau for the first series in the middle of February. It was like mid November, and the referees let us play, and the girls loved it. And I would say that it was the best hockey that we were able to play all year, just because of the style. Girls expected to be hit, as Winnie was saying, and they braced for it, and they had their guards up. And the game was just, it was really high quality hockey. We used to joke with our girls and say, there's a 2-1-8 rule up here. We're going to get, Warroad is going to get, we're going to get 2 or 1 power plays, and Warroad's going to get 8. That's what we would say. The 2-1-8 rule.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was, it was more like probably 5-2, but the game was just physical, and it was aggressive, and the challenge at times down in the cities was the inconsistent reffing, so girls didn't know how much they could hit. And so I think if you did across the board make the checking allowed, there wouldn't be any confusion about how physical the game could get.
Yeah, and it brings back to like what age, right? It's one of those things where I think all girls or boys, right, should always have body contact within drills, right? Because I think a lot of the times we do a lot of drills, and it's skating drills, it's cone drills, but it's like, when does that ever happen, right? It's one-on-one drills, it's keep away, it's protecting the puck, it's protecting yourself, knowing where you are on the ice, the spatial awareness, and just all those aspects of it that I think would help with the girls. Because you're going to hit body contact if there's 3 people chasing you trying to keep a puck. I always say Steve Surge was really good at that stuff, and then you look at a Marty Surge and you wonder why he was so skilled. And his Roseville boys teams were so skilled, is that they kind of just practice outdoor pond hockey style with physicality, where you get the puck. What is it? You want to get it, you want to keep it. And you got to use your body and
Oh boy.
and all that. To keep it. Oh, good save.
Yes.
She's playing incredible.
Yeah, she's got
is
a
it
great
He has about 100 saves, I think.
Is it Malin Erickson? Do you say Malin?
Yeah, Malin Erickson.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're 9-0 last time, so let's keep fighting here. Hey, you were both Gophers, so I've been fascinated by Abby Murphy. I don't know that I've seen a women's hockey player quite like this. She seems like a Kachuk brother or something. Is she that special, or am I just a homer and a Gopher fan and reading the press clippings locally? She seems pretty different, that kind of in your face and the in your face aspect. What do you guys think?
I think she brings an element of the physicality that we're talking about, right? Like she plays on it with an edge, and she plays where she's going to score goals. She might have 2 or 3 penalties, but she's also going to have 2 or 3 goals. I always tell girls, I'm like, okay, if you're going to get a bunch of penalties, you better have just as many goals on the scoreboard. And she's one of those players that there's not many like her that are able to pull that off. But and I think she just gets other people on other teams fired up to play her. And so I think she brings a lot to the game where I don't think a lot of other girls have that capability to do that.
Have you seen her at all, Becky, the Murph?
Yeah. That I don't know her personally, but when I watch her play, when I watch players like that, and there's not many, just that, like, the will to make it happen, where it's like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to go make something happen. I'm going to bring that level of energy, that determination to go get after it. That's a really cool thing in a person, let alone a hockey player, where it's like, I'm going to control my destiny. I'm going to go play hard, and I'm going to be in people's face, and, really not apologizing for that. I think, that's a special kind of player that brings intensity. And like when he said, as other players know they're going to play someone like that, and when you're a fan, it's really fun to watch when there's, a little bit of hate and discontent going on out there, and it's all the effort of high competition. It's just fun to watch.
This goalie is having a night. Have you been watching in the past? It's like a track meet, just breakaway.
Because it's been down here, right, in their end for pretty much the whole second period.
That was Ruby Rauch in the breakaway there, and she had a good chance right before that as well. And Erickson's just is
and Ruby's a stud. Yeah,
it looked like she showed her the glove. That show her the glove and she'll shoot right.
It was. Yeah, she flashed the leather there. She for sure did. She's feeling it. Yeah, she's feeling it. She's waving at you.
Becky Murphy had a similar background. She's Chicago, and as I understand it, she kind of grew up playing with her brothers and boys teams, and then now finds herself at the university. So there's probably a kindred spirit there for you too.
Yeah, it's interesting not being a Minnesotan playing for the Gophers. Especially if you're not Canadian or from Europe. There's not a lot of us that come from other states, and I'll say I was naive, because like the whole like miracle thing, where like the Boston folks and the Minnesota folks don't like each other. I didn't know that was a thing, and then I showed up and it was like, whoa, this is not what I was expecting. I didn't know this was what goes on here. So there's a little bit of you kind of, I don't want to say chip on your shoulder like against your teammates, but when you're not a Minnesotan, it's very, very unique for you to get to play for the Gophers, because so many girls that live in Minnesota, they want to be a Gopher. They think about being a Gopher. That's like I'm going to say it's the epitome of many young girls' dreams to play for the Gophers. And when you're coming from a different state, you kind of know, like, I took somebody's spot, so I better perform every single day to show that I've earned it and that I belong. And that you know, that does give you a little extra edge sometimes that you need to play with.
Yeah, it's kind of the nice mix, you know, get kind of you marinate in that, and then you jump over to the U and get best of both worlds.
Yeah. And you pick up the long O, and then, you know, you say Minnesota, then everybody knows. And then you're in. That's right.
And if you drive the pickup truck and you have a mullet, you fit right in.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
perfect. That's what I figured. I figured I'd be just fine. I do remember when I came from my visit, Natalie Darwitz, you know, I met her and she was one of the players I went to dinner with, and she was like, "Do you have any jet skis?" I was like, weird question. No, but I have four-wheelers. And then she kind of looked at me like this. I think I might be able to like you. So, oh, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any jet skis? That's a great way to meet someone.
Yeah, I guess that's the qualifying question. That was a new one by me.
Yeah, she likes your jet skis. She likes.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're almost to the end of the second. How's this going to finish? You know, Becky, I know you got some Wayzata ties. Give us a prediction on the final. We're going to let you jump off here and have one other guy join us for the third. But what do you think? How does Wayzata continue to hang tough with this goalie Erickson, or does this end up the pinata gets popped and it's about 8-2?
Yeah, you know, it's coming towards the end of the season, so you know they got to be thinking about making sure that they're coming to, you know, playoff form and, you know, getting past playing, you know, past Valentine's Day. So I don't know. I think Wayzata is going to keep playing hard, and this goalie's going to have to stand on her head for sure. But I don't think it's be 9-0, but that's an easy prediction since it's already 6-2.
Yeah, you're safe there.
I'm safe there.
Good period.
Yeah, I think that was a lot better than the first. You guys brought good energy. That was much more competitive. And thank you, Becky, for joining us and standing, you know, tall. So you're 5'6", 205 for anybody
That's
watching.
right. That's right.
And then Winnie, I'm just amazed that you figured out how to do this. I'm so proud.
I know, I'm impressed with
Yeah,
myself because my kids were at the Oval skating at practice with their dad, and they're usually the ones that help me with technology. So I had to do it all by myself.
Well, you should buy some Bitcoin, do some AI, whatever the kids are doing, because you're on a roll. So thank you, two studs from women's hockey joining us, and thank you for spending time with us.
All right, thanks, guys. Good seeing you.
Thanks, John. Good to
Thank
see
you,
you.
guys. Thank you.
You guys.
Good to see you, gals.
Yeah.
Take care.
Let's see if Winnie can hang up. Oh, look at that. She nailed
She's
it.
out. She's out.
Well, that's quite a guest list. I tried to get our hockey yak guy on, but I don't know. He was at the game, so he was having some trouble. But have you ever, you know, the brand Hockey Yak?
I've seen some ads, but
Yeah,
I really don't.
So they named this company because it's named after the animal, the yak, because a yak is strong, has great hair and bad teeth, and so they started making a bunch of gear, merch, jerseys, coaches' bags, breakaway vest. He started the company because he was carrying his kid's stuff around all the time, and I think the kid called him a hockey Sherpa. But a Sherpa is a person, so they switched it to the yak. They got awesome stuff, and if you're a team manager or just a player, it's worth checking out for sure. What a list of guests tonight, huh?
Yeah, I mean, to start off with Julie Friend, she's a pro. You know, she calls a state tournament for KSTC 45, and was an amazing goalie, and she's got a sense of humor too. So I think she got us kicked off well. And then to bring on the legends, you know, Winnie and Becky, I mean, I don't think it gets any better for that hockey commentary that we were just blessed with. You know, them telling us about their growing up playing against the boys and, you know, being trailblazers in the game and trying to, you push the game to a higher level with all of the things that they went through, and for them to see where the games got today, and they had a lot to do with that. I think it was really it was awesome just to hear them talk and sit back and listen to them. I think we got Miles Deeth coming on here, the Wayzata Youth Hockey. He's the director of hockey operations or hockey development director there. Runs skills clinics, I think, on Monday nights, and does a lot of work with the coaches and the players on the girls and boys side at Wayzata Youth Hockey. So I'm hoping that he can log in and join us here for the third period. We were going to try to get Pat O'Leary, the legend, who also works with Wayzata Youth Hockey, obviously the boys varsity coach, grew up, went to Armstrong, which is my alma mater, and then played for the Gophers, and he was a national champion there. But Pat had to coach a U10 girls practice tonight, and so a higher calling came and got him. And so Miles, I think, is going to join us shortly.
Yeah, that's great. Is Miles Deeth, even though it looks like Miles Death, but it's Deeth?
Right. He's full of life, though, so I think it is. Okay. I think it's Deeth.
Good. That's good. That makes sense.
Yep, and I'll make sure that he's coming in here by the time the third period starts.
Where are you on the physicality with the P-dub bringing in kind of the hitting and the rubbing out, and do you like that, or were you? It seems to be 50-50. Half the people are like, cool, it's hockey, and the other half are like, yeah, I don't know, this isn't how we've played the whole way. What do you think?
I think that it's checking can be allowed, and I think that the only question in my mind is an opposite direction hit, like a center ice hit, or when two players are going opposite direction. How to allow that hit, if it's shoulder to shoulder, if it's hip to hip, through the hands. I think that same direction hits, angling a player off, pinning them in the wall, being able to check a player in the corner or box out, protect the house, protect the kitchen in front of the net. I think more physicality should be allowed in the women's game. The only question I have is if the opposite direction check that you see sometimes occasionally, the big hit at center ice and in men's hockey, if that is something that's going to be allowed, or if that'd be a penalty, kind of like boarding is when you hit somebody that's 5 feet away from the boards.
Yeah, it's the Scott Stevens special, the center ice, just Jacob Trouba. Yeah, that's a different one. Rubbing out is very different when you're just kind of, guiding someone into the boards is very different than just smoking someone behind the net or at center ice.
Right. I got to let my dog Kathy in. Hang on.
Perfect. Your dog's name is Kathy?
Yeah.
We'll have to come back to that. We'll have to come back to that.
The boys named her Kathy.
Now, what's the backstory here?
She's a golden retriever, and come here, Kathy. Come here. So she's 7. Up.
All right, here's Miles. We can bring him in, Ella, if you can do that. Oh, Miles Deeth, not to be confused with Miles Death, which would be so much tougher.
You can tell me that. That's fine.
Yeah, well, Eric kind of introduced you already, but we got Kathy with us as well, a dog named Kathy, which is confusing to me and most of the viewers. But how do you guys know each other? And tell us a little bit about yourself here on Tuesday Night Lights.
Yeah, so I grew up in Wayzata. I graduated there in 2012. Played hockey there. I actually trained at Impact with EJ for a couple of years. Really enjoyed that. So that's how we first met. Obviously, you've had a ton of players, EJ. So I don't know how well you remember my skills, but I
right-handed, fast.
Just not fast, good edges. But played at, and then I went on to play golf at the University of South Dakota, and then came back, got into coaching, coached Squirts, Pee-wees at Wayzata, and now it's my 6th year on the high school staff with Pat on the boys side.
That's awesome. And now do I have this right? Are you what's your role now? What do you do now?
So I do on-ice training for all of our clinics and stuff. That's kind of half of my deal, and then the other half is the director of hockey operations, which was a role that the association added 3 years ago to kind of handle our coaches' education, getting everyone on the same page, making kind of big picture decisions on, how many teams are we going to have, what leveling are we going to do, how do tryouts work, everything in that arena, what tournaments we go to, stuff like that. So I've enjoyed that. It's been good, challenging at times, but it's it's what I like to do. So I do hockey full time, so it's a good gig.
And do you cover both the girls and boys programs with the hockey ops?
I do, yeah. So I've been doing their captain's practice at the high school level. Obviously, I've had a close relationship with their staff. But yeah, doing the youth thing, handle both girls and boys, which, we have 1,200 kids, so it gets to be a lot sometimes. So
Yeah, that's great.
What have you guys done to build the girls' youth programs so you have such big numbers?
I think the biggest thing, like right now, especially, we're fortunate to have so many ex-players, men mostly, but that are having daughters through the program. So just giving them as much support as they need to keep the girls playing, first of all, from 6U and not have any drop off and have our retention go up. But giving a guy like Nate Prosser the freedom to coach these girls up. He's got 4 kids in our program, and there's others as well, but having that group of really talented hockey minds kind of, I don't know, get the girls excited about it, and keeping them around is the main thing, obviously.
Yeah, no, that's great. And this game, they're hanging pretty tough. They got beat by Minnetonka 9-0 about 10 days ago, and goalie's playing awesome. I don't know if you know this Erickson for Wayzata. You might have seen her at some of these practices, but they definitely are. They're pushing back, as people like to say.
Yeah, I was watching the first 2 periods, and it's Brad and his staff have done an excellent job this year. They might not have as much talent as some of the top teams on paper, but the fact that they've played Edina tough, played Benilde tough, and gotten some good wins against some teams that are kind of around them to where they're a 500 team. It takes a group like this, I think, to really set the future up. Like EJ mentioned, our numbers are great, but it takes a group like this to show everyone else below them that this is a stable and reliable program that when you get to the high school age is going to be a great place for you to grow and develop.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think when I'm hearing about your numbers at the youth level, I think you'll have a nice bubble coming through the system on the girls' side to have a lot of success in the days ahead.
Yeah.
And guys, is that me? Is that me? Can you hear that? Is that me? Like, do I have kind of a reverb or sort of a occasional like farting
Yeah,
going?
there's a little hiss every now and then. I don't. We're gonna look into it for next week. We don't know exactly what it is. Eric. I wouldn't blame yourself. It probably is Kathy, your dog. Why is your dog named Kathy? Like, can we talk about this more? Did you have another person that was special to your children named Kathy and they named it?
I love human names for dogs. That's my favorite thing ever.
You like human names for dogs?
Yeah.
My wife is Michelle, and we were on a road trip with our 3 sons, Isaac, Jordy, and Leo, and we were on our way to pick up the dog, and we had to come up with a name for the dog. And so a lot of names were thrown out there, and I actually threw Kathy out, and everything, 100 names before that were no, and everybody thought about it and got silent, and then the boys started saying, "Yeah, I like that. Let's name her Kathy," and that was it.
That's great.
And as simple as that, she's been Kathy. If you got to know my dog, you would just know that she is a Kathy.
No, I don't think so. I don't know that I would, but I like the idea of it.
It's her personality. It fits her.
So you're going full Trojan on the hoodie and everything. Like, do you think you can get a comeback here in the third? Because we had a bunch of Tonka people in the first, and they were kind of getting beat up. Then we kind of split it in the second with some Wayzata mixed in, and it was pretty even. Now, do you think you can is this a big finish for Wayzata?
Well, I will tell you, the boys team played Eden Prairie a couple Saturdays ago, and we were up 5-1 after 2, and we tied 6-6. So not our finest moment, but crazy things can happen in high school hockey sometimes.
That's good. Hey, Miles, what's the cutting edge stuff when you're doing hockey ops? Like, I remember people were doing, eye training where you were moving your eye a certain way. And I know there's some goalie programs that work with mindfulness. And what are some of the stuff you're doing that you think's progressive that's really going to help the Wayzata kids as a whole?
Well, not too much on the technology side because I'm not a very big technology guy. I know they have that sense arena for the goalies, but the biggest thing that I've tried to get our coaches to get on board and on the same page about is doing a lot, mostly besides your skill foundational training, is doing as many small area games as you can and teaching hockey sense through letting them figure it out. Kind of the buzzword is kind of the constraint-led approach, which if you've heard Brandon Arado talk at the University of Michigan, I'm a huge supporter of everything that he's kind of developing and putting through the system there. But just getting them to get rid of scripted drills, that's what I call them at youth hockey, where your left wing skates in this pattern every single time, every repetition of the drill, and they hit them on a breakout. We need to be teaching hockey sense, and you can't really teach it, in English. You have to kind of let them and set up different games so they can figure it out on their own.
It's funny. We used to talk about that when I was coaching. Even if you did the best practice plan ever and you were, using the ice and everyone's moving the whole time, you could argue that if you just had them play hockey every hour of practice, bought them a pizza afterwards, they might get better from the second version than even if you're searching for drills from Finland and Sweden and,
Yeah.
doing it all. But it's because you can't really learn the game unless you play the game, right?
Absolutely, and if you're struggling with breaking the puck out, you can develop a small area game that develops those skills. You just have to be creative and be open-minded to, instead of dumping the puck in and doing 5-on-0 breakout, can we set up a 3-on-3 in one quadrant of the zone below the blue line that works on making 2 passes in a row, which is all a breakout is, So
this Michigan coach, his deal is basically, if you think of a skier and they're making a groove in the snow because they've been going the exact same path all the time, he's saying, figure out what you want to work on and gamify it and make it unpredictable. There's another Tonka goal, so it's 7 now. You're -1, Miles, but is that his deal? Don't just do kind of lanes and lane hockey and boring
yeah,
stuff.
one thing that I love that he said in one of the presentations I've seen him at, his kind of how he teaches offense. He has an acronym for it, and it's CPR. It's creativity. So he's going to let the players play in the game and make reads and make plays. And then the P is for predictability, which they're going to have some structure in their game, especially offensively, so that the players can understand where the other ones are. And then the R is for responsibility. So when our D dives down the offensive zone, we're going to be responsible and fill above. So that's kind of, I just thought that was awesome. That's what I try to, I basically copied it for our boys team this year and trying to get some offensive zone structure, but also letting the players play.
And is that the Michigan men's head coach, or who's the coach that you're borrowing all this from?
Yeah, I should have said, the men's head coach. He was the interim maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, and then they named him the head coach, and I think he's been to the Final Four almost every year he's been there.
Yeah, they've had some good teams. They got the Gophers in a lot of Big Ten championship games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing the skill level, just with, you know, even as a parent, as a hockey parent, kind of watching girls hockey. Here's a 2-on-1 for the skippers.
Good
Big
save.
save.
This goalie's good, man. You know, she's seen a lot of rubber tonight, and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's had a good year. I think she's looking at possibly playing in college somewhere. She's kind of starting that process. It might be at the Division III level, but it's been awesome for her to get the net this year almost every game and really develop.
yeah, no, it's good. Do you know? We were asking earlier. We didn't know, and I don't know if you will or not. You probably will. Is Wayzata young, this high school team, or not?
So they have a lot of seniors. I think they have 13.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what I would say though is that they're kind of higher end talent, whatever that means in high school hockey, is on the younger side. So they have a freshman in Ava Moldy, and she's number 10. And they have a couple sophomores that played as 8th graders. Morgan Kennedy, number 8, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the higher end players, and they're kind of freshman, sophomore coming through. But there's a lot of freshmen on the 15A team right now that are, I think, will just step in next year.
Yeah, Wayzata is always tough on both sides, really, the boys and the girls. So it'd be nice to see them. They're about 500 this year, but certainly with the numbers you have coming up, I would expect that to change.
Mm-hmm.
And we've lost some girls to, private schools and other public schools, and it happens. And that's my goal, is to help in whatever I can to keep them here so we can improve this thing.
How do you keep a kid when, hockey's got so much of that keep up with the Joneses? If somebody else is doing it, you better be doing it. How do you build that culture and, that hoodie you're wearing, like this means something, and, stay with your friends and be a part of something? How do you do that on the hockey ops side?
Well, I think EJ could probably add on to whatever I say because he probably knows better than me. But I think that where it starts is having stability at your coaching staff, especially at high school. That people need to understand that you're going to be there. You have quality support with your assistants, even on your JV, obviously, because a lot of girls are going to go that route too. So if they can kind of stick around for 3, 4, 5, 6 years and present a stable option because everyone wants their daughter or son just to have a good place where they can develop, right? So if there's turnover on coaching year in and year out, that becomes a huge question mark for families, I think.
What did you do, EJ? Yeah, how did you build? You won 3 in a row.
Well, I mean, I agree. First of all, with Miles, it looks like Wayzata's got some great stuff going on with Miles and the high school girls and boys coaches running the Monday night skills and connecting with the coaches, giving them the tools that they need at the youth level to be successful. I think that some of that continuity throughout the program is starting to really build and work for them. But looking at their youth numbers are really impressive. And I think that it's probably just a matter of time. You've got the consistency at the high school level that Miles is talking about. And at Minnetonka, we've been fortunate. We've got our high school girls coach, Tracy Casano. I mean, she's coached over 500 games in the, with 4 different teams, but she's been at Minnetonka now 6 years, and she's got over 300 victories. And our youth hockey coaches do a great job from U6 to U8, U10, 12, 15. We have a lot of moms and dads that jump in and work really hard with the kids in skill development and small area games like Miles was talking about. And we're really fortunate to have great facilities too in Minnetonka. The Pego Center's got rink 1 and 2, varsity locker rooms, and all that good stuff. So I think the main thing is I agree, consistency in the coaching and the philosophy and the culture. And then you just hope that the kids want to grow up and play in the program if they're growing up in the Minnetonka public school system. If they're a public school kid, then ideally you want to keep them. if they're going to private schools and when they're younger in grade school, they might be planning on going private all the way through or somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, one more thing I'll add is I think idols are very important, especially for our younger girls. We had Sloan Matthews come through our program 3 or 4 years ago, and she's at Ohio State now. And one of my goals is to get her face in front of as many of our 10U and 12U players as I can right now, especially when she's at Ohio State having the success that she's having. Our alumni wall was a little outdated, and we actually just finished the project of first of all updating it. It hadn't been updated since 2015, and there were still Armstrong players on it because Armstrong used to play at the Plymouth Ice Center. So that project just got done, and there's tons of female athletes on that wall, and I think that's really huge for players to see that too.
Yeah, it's smart to bring connect them to the older girls and the idols that they have. I think if they have a hero, that's probably the best way to keep them.
Do the Wayzata high school girls have a chance to get on the ice with some of the younger players like the Mites? I know that these high school girls have a Big Sisters program and do adopt a team for a couple of practices and maybe jump on the bench for a game with the Mite girls and U10 girls.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Actually, so the assistant coach who's coaching the forwards right now next to Brad, her name's Maddie Goldsworthy, and she's the daughter of Sean Goldsworthy on the Tonka boys side. And this year she started that program. So all of our, I think there's 2 girls per team at 8U and 10U. I'm not sure on the specifics, but she kind of spearheaded that and made sure that the girls are getting out to practices. So it's been awesome, and I'm really appreciative to her for doing that.
And Maddie's coaching in your high school program with the girls. Is she assistant varsity coach with Brad?
Yeah. She's probably her 3rd year, maybe it's her 2nd, but it's been great to have her. And she's in it. She wants to learn and grow, and I like people that are all about hockey around the rink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched her play at Gus Davis, and she was really a strong forward, really strong in the puck, and smart hockey player. And being around, her dad and her grandpa. I mean, the Goldsworthy family. I mean, she knows hockey really well, and
Yeah.
you guys are fortunate to have her over there coaching.
Right.
I don't know if you can see this. If you look in the background, it's 46 shots to 8. So Erickson is having herself a night here. She might be in a cold tub tomorrow, and
Yeah, I think they have 3 games this week too. So
yeah, that's something. So you in a high shooting percentage for Wayzata, they're 25%. Firing it. Hey, we're gonna play a little game since this thing's so lopsided. This is gonna be entertaining. So this is Cub Foods trivia. Okay, so EJ and Miles, do you guys grocery shop at all yourselves, or does it just come into your home in another way? Are you like
my fiance goes to Cub actually, so
Okay.
I don't usually go.
Okay, you don't usually go. That's going to be hilarious. EJ, do you push a cart at a grocery store with any regularity?
I do go to the grocery store a couple times a week, and my wife goes more than me, but we have three boys, so I do go to Cub. I get the donuts there and love the produce.
Well, I'm going to bet on you to do better because Miles is just outsourcing this thing. So this is Cub Foods Trivia, official grocer of the Minnesota Wild. So I'm going to tell you an item, and you're going to guess the price. And I'm just going to see if you're even close, okay? So let's go a pack of Oreo thin cookies. So the Oreos that are a little thinner. One of those big ones, what does that cost you? You know, the 3 different sleeves. You're going to go first.
$4.99. I'm going to say $4.99.
Okay, $3.49, not bad. Cubs got value. How about a pack of Jack Link's original beef jerky?
How many sticks?
It's a little bag. It's 2.85 ounces, so it's kind of the medium size one.
$3.50.
$4.99. Okay, you got it both ways. You got two left. A Red Baron pizza. Cub Foods. What is it?
$8.99.
$4.99. Man, your Cubs loving this. And then let's go a 4-pack of Red Bull energy drink. What does that run you over at the Cub?
$5.99.
$6.99. I would say you did pretty good. I think all in all, you were off by maybe $6 total, $7 total. All right, let's see how Miles does here.
I'm watching the prices.
Let's see how
Value
Miles might struggle here. How about a pack of Hormel Black Label bacon?
$5.99.
It is $5.99. Oh my God. Cub
No way.
All-Star. Let's see if he's just good or lucky. How about a thing of Kemp's top the tater, the green one, the classic iconic one.
What is that?
Top the tater, you dip chips in it. It's like
Sour cream. It's seasoned sour cream.
people love it.
$3.79.
God, $3.99. You're only off by 20 cents with two. How about a box of Keebler Cheez-Its? Cheez-Its.
Jesus, a box. $4.59.
$2.99. That's your first miss by like $1. And we'll finish with you a jar of Hellman's Hellman's mayonnaise at Cub Foods, Cub Trivia. What do you got it at?
How many ounces?
Well, it says here, it says 15 to 30 ounces. I don't know how that works, but it looks just like a regular. There's a jar one, and then one you can kind of push it out. Standard size.
$4.29.
$5.49. So I think you did pretty well considering Eric and his dog Kathy go grocery shopping every 24 hours. Miles, that was pretty impressive. You could be in grocery ops for Wayzata as well.
Oh boy.
I thought you were texting him the answers on the first couple.
I thought you were looking up the answers when you were kind of staring at your screen with your
My fiance is kneeling beside me,
just rifling receipts. So it looks like Wayzata with a power play here. Yep. So let's see if they can. Oh no, it's a shorty. It's a shorty. 8-2.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get another one.
Yeah, well, it was 9-0 last time. So if they could go 8-3, they feel decent about that. It'd be nice to get one here. But that's a shorthanded goal for Tonka too. You know, at some point, this Erickson's probably just like, you know what, I need an ice pack as she works up towards 50 saves.
That was Lauren Mack and Ellie Zakrashek on the 2-on-1 there. I don't know which player scored the goal, but
Looks like a funny bounce or something happened. It was through at the net. Good things happen.
yeah.
Just turns it up at least now. It's good stick.
God, Tonka just doesn't stop, do they? It's like
They've been on a roll lately. They really have. They watched them play on January 10th on a Friday night, 10th or 11th. It was a sold out building at Braemar, and Tonka won that game 1-0. Great hockey game, but I believe they're unbeaten since that game, and they've been scoring more and more goals every game, and they're really on a roll.
yeah, they're all gas, no brakes. Who's their biggest threat state-wise? Is it the Hornets, or who are the other? This is kind of a super team here, Minnetonka. Who are the
Do they
people?
do they have a section kind of threat at all? Are they in 2AA?
We talked about that earlier. Holy Family is and Eden Prairie are probably the two strongest opponents in the section. And for the state, I believe that Edina and Andover and Coon Rapids, Champlain Park are three opponents that I know of that have given Tonka really good games. I think the Coon Rapids Champlain Park team beat Minnetonka early in the season. Edina did beat Minnetonka once. I think Tonka's beat Edina twice, which feels good to say.
Yeah, for sure. Even for me.
Whenever you can say that, I think, when you're a Minnetonka fan. But as far as up north goes, I think Moorhead's got a heck of a team. And I'm not really sure beyond that.
Yeah, I think it was Centennial that beat Tonka. I think that's who you're talking about, right?
Thank you.
That Centennial's one of those teams. They're just gritty on the boys and the girls side. It's never an off night when you're going against Centennial. That was very early in the season, though. It looked like that was in like October, so that might have been Tonka still figuring out the rocket ship that they have now. But
so is that the Centennial Spring Lake Park?
Yes,
that's okay. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Yeah, Champlain Park, Coon Rapids. The Trojans, these girls actually went up to play them last weekend, and it was a 5-4 good game, but Champlain won.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. When's the last state championship for Tonka? Is it when you were running the show?
I believe so. I believe the team has been to the state tournament for the last 5 years in a row and has at least one or two second places, I think, and a couple of thirds. But I think this team is looking like one that can do it. Great goaltending, really solid defense, and they're scoring a bunch of goals. 10 seniors. It just seems like they really have a good thing going right now. So we're hopeful that this is the team.
I could see it. They look good. I did that Edina game. The Tradition Mortgage did kind of the sellout of all the tickets, and that's a scary game though, because something happens when those two teams play each other. It's just like it's just going to be close no matter what. And that's a coin toss, I think. Edina Tonka, even though Minnetonka does look more dynamic from what I've seen, but well-coached teams, and you'll just have to see what happens.
Agreed. Yeah, it is. It's one of those matchups where the number of penalties matter for each team and how the teams do on the power play, but it's always a really tight battle. I believe Minnetonka beat Edina 4-2 in the first contest. Edina beat Minnetonka 4-0 in the second one, and then the third one, Tonka 1-0. But that night it could have gone either way, and great scoring chances for both teams.
Yeah, well, this is a much better battle for Wayzata, and a lot of busy night for the goaltender. But I think if you're coming off 9-0 10 days ago, and the way they played tonight, they kept fighting to the end, which is good to see.
Yeah, it was. I think that Wayzata played really a great game. A lot of great shot blocks. A couple of big goals in the second period to give themselves some life for a period of time there in the second period. It was a 2-3 goal game. The goaltender Erickson has played outstanding, and I think this Minnetonka team just has a little bit too much talent and depth to contend with.
For sure. Hey, Miles, thanks for joining us, and thanks for everything you're doing with the Wayzata Youth Program, Hockey Ops, the boys and the girls, and we look forward to hearing from you again. And thanks for being part of Tuesday Night Lights.
Thanks, John. Thanks, EJ. Good to see you guys.
Thanks, Miles. Great to see you, buddy.
Yeah.
And we can wrap up here, Eric. Hey, thanks for stepping in. It was a crazy night with Waggoner. There were a lot of different logistical things happening. So we kind of we were like Thelma and Louise, jumped in the car together, and hopefully we didn't go off the cliff. I think our guest helped us with that, with hearing all of those legends come through and just talking about the state of the girls' game as we watched what's probably a favorite to win the state tournament tonight. Minnetonka got the best of Wayzata. So thanks for being here. I want to thank Cub Foods and Hockey Yak. And we know you're shopping at Cub. So now we got to get you some Hockey Yak, a breakaway vest or a hoodie or a coach's bag. You can carry around your state championships in. You have anything else you want to add at the end, or just thanks for riding with me, brother?
It's a privilege. You know, you're the hockey hair guy, and you're hanging out with a guy that doesn't have any hair, and I appreciate that.
Well, there is that. Well, hey, we'll have a couple more of these still. One boys game, one girls game. Thanks for trying this out. We hope you like the insight and the conversation, and just kind of watching hockey with interesting people. We hope so. Thank you so much from Pulltab Sports, Hockey Yak, and Cub. We are signing off from Tuesday Night Lights.